As you guys know, Dominick Cruz has officially announced his retirement from MMA. Now, if you're watching this video on upload, I know I'm very late. Don't know why it took me so long to make this video, but I want to kind of make like a appreciation video for Dominick Cruz because I have really enjoyed his work over the years, whether that be commentary, whether it's fighting, whether it's the birth of a meme, the trash talking. Today, I wanted to walk you through everything kind of significant that I had the pleasure of watching with Dominick Cruz over the years. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with many YouTube channels. Guys, the first fight that I have ever seen from Dominick Cruz and my introduction to him was his UFC 312 title defense against Uriah Faber. This was actually my first introduction to Dominick Cruz. I don't recall what time frame this ended up taking place. My first fight that I ever watched was GSP versus Condit, and I know it was kind of like getting around that area, but after that, I became a super fan of MMA every time I didn't hear about a big fighter, every time I wasn't familiar with a contender. So I went back and actually, after this, watched a bunch of WEC fights over from Dominick Cruz. I got the update on the entire saga with Uriah Faber. This fight in particular didn't mean much to me, but it was my first initial introduction to Dominick Cruz, and who I didn't know how much entertainment I was going to get over the years. Now, something that I wasn't fully aware of, the greatness that I was witnessing, was his UFC Fight Night title defense against Demetrius Johnson. I don't know, and you know what, to be honest with you, because this is still kind of going where I was a little bit new to the sport. I don't know if at the time people realized what a significant victory this was, or if at the time it was just like Mighty Mouse was another contender, and we all know that Mighty Mouse ended up going up in weight, and the Mighty Mouse ended up this wasn't the GOAT version of Mighty Mouse, but still, this win aged incredibly well. It will forever be on Dominick Cruz's legacy, and people still talk about this when talking about him being one of the greatest bantamweights of all time. Let's continue on. He ended up returning at UFC 178, and this was really cool to see, guys. I know I'm in the way just a little bit. Let me bring you over a little bit smaller over here. I remember when there was a ton of talks about Dominick Cruz, his injury, will he return the same? He came back and got a vicious, and I will say, I don't believe, he hasn't gotten a TKO victory after that. Dominick Cruz coming back and getting his first TKO victory was something that was really just wholesome to see. I remember the smile on Dominick Cruz's face. I remember this like it was just yesterday. Him returning at UFC 178 amid all of the controversy, proving all of the doubters wrong. He came in, got a nice, beautiful TKO victory. But now, this is where the big fun starts with Dominick Cruz. And I would say that while at this point I was familiar with Dominick Cruz, I kept up on all of the Uriah Faber drama. I was watching him in WEC. I was fascinated by his style. I would say after his big return at UFC 178 was the time that I really started paying attention to him, okay? Let's continue on over to the UFC Fight Night title win against TJ Dillashaw. Now, I won't go through it for you right now, but I am a fan of TJ Dillashaw. He's one of my favorite fighters. I was really, really cheering for TJ Dillashaw in this fight, and I would have to watch it again. It's been so long, but it was one of those fights I remember watching. I was like, I don't know who won. This could have gone either way. I can't help but still be happy for Dominick Cruz in actually recapturing that title after all of the adversity that he's gone through in his career. Again, facing all of the doubters, fighting a version of TJ Dillashaw that at the time was one of the prime versions of TJ Dillashaw. This was a massive win and a massive step for his career, and he again proved all of the doubters wrong. Dominick Cruz, and you know what's interesting is walking through this is there were actually a lot of wholesome victories for Dominick Cruz. There were a lot of times where I just ended up being really, really happy for the guy, but the conversation doesn't end there because now we move on to stuff that isn't necessarily fighting with Dominick Cruz, okay? One of the most memorable moments from Dominick Cruz's career was the counterpunch interview with TJ Dillashaw. This was absolutely hilarious. How many times have you guys sat down? How many times have you guys seen this clip where it's like, all right, man, I'm done talking to you. Well, you can't be done talking to me. You're right here facing me, dummy. You got to talk to me. And we all I feel like if you were part of MMA meme culture back then, this whole clip might be integrated into your brain. It's crazy looking at this now and how young Jon Anik looks. Look how weird he looks. Just weird because we're so used to seeing Jon Anik so often now. Nothing against Jon Anik, but this was one of the funniest moments in Dominick Cruz's career, and it was very well said. Dominick Cruz and his trash talk were peak, man. He was so good at just getting under your skin and just nipping at you. Like Michael Bisping would always say, listen here, you little shit. He was so good at it. And it doesn't help that TJ Dillashaw was obviously horrible at trash talking. All right, I'm not talking to you, man. Like, what did he want to come from it? Again, this is coming from a guy that was a big fan of TJ Dillashaw, and something I forgot to mention was this. I ended up thinking about the trash talk for Dominick Cruz after I ended up grabbing the photo for the fight with TJ Dillashaw. Obviously, that was before. Let's continue on to the trilogy with Uriah Faber, the UFC 199 win that Dominick Cruz had. I'm not going to lie to you. I like Dominick Cruz. He's nowhere near one of my favorite fighters, but I was really cheering hard for Uriah Faber to get this fight done. The big standout moment for this fight was honestly Uriah Faber's pants falling down, but still, it was a very fun fight. The build up to it was great. Again, the trash talk between Cruz and Faber and just saying like, I beat your whole team. Like, it was always really fun, right? Uriah Faber, I was cheering for him hard. I wanted him to actually, after all of those tries to get to the title, and Dominick Cruz just being brutally honest in general, like, you've never won it. I don't remember exactly what he was saying, right? But he's like, you've never won a title in your life. You always come up short, and you're going to come up short again because you can't accomplish anything. Like, he's so good at just being mean. I love it. I love it. But anyways, that was a very fun fight, very nostalgic. The card was absolutely phenomenal. After that, we had a fantastic moment between him and Uriah Faber, squashing the beef. Dominick Cruz, Uriah Faber. This was really cool to see, and I love what they did with the poster. I love the storyline with what they did with the poster, with actually getting the signatures in the right place, both of them finally making up, and I always wonder if this stuff is real or not, but regardless, like, it was just really nice to see. After all of that, after UFC 199, it seemed like closing the entire story. Like, they closed the book on it, you know? After so long, after all of the years of rivalry, after all of the years of hate, they actually sat down on the Fox desk and squashed their beef. That was also a standout moment in Dominick Cruz's career, in my opinion. Now, let's continue on over to the fun stuff, okay? The UFC 207 interview with Cody Garbrandt. Sorry, I keep my face cam's too big on the other side. Dominick Cruz just absolutely humiliating Cody Garbrandt. I don't have to. I never chased pussy in my life, and on Saturday I'm not doing it. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, Cody Garbrandt was so easy to make fun of. Every single time they had an interaction like this, I would say this specific interview right here was kind of the standout. Dominick Cruz just like looking at him like, what's wrong with this guy? And Cody Garbrandt, we didn't know that he was about to have the performance that he would have, but it doesn't take away from how funny Dominick Cruz was in this moment. Now, it hurts to see Dominick Cruz listening to Cody Garbrandt the way they did. I'm not a big Cody Garbrandt fan. I would have much rather seen Dominick Cruz get the win over here, especially after continuing on like, I beat all of Team Alpha Male and I'm going to beat you too. But it was fun to watch. It was crazy to watch Cody Garbrandt's performance. Dominick Cruz held in there. Dominick Cruz did his best. And it was weird. It was straight up weird to see Dominick Cruz schooled. I still don't know if that was an off night or like people talk about that being the best. Cody Garbrandt for 25 minutes being the greatest fighter of all time. You know, like he sure did look like it, man. He sure did look like it. But nonetheless, it was very fun to watch. And after that, I felt it was necessary to point this out as well. Dominick Cruz showed every single fighter on the roster how to take a loss. Shockingly on the same card as Nunes versus Ronda Rousey. Dominick Cruz going up there. I thought the shades were a little cringy. I thought the fact that he was standing up was a little cringy, but the message was phenomenal. The message, like, losses are part of life. He's just going to get better. He's just going to go back to the drawing board. He's going to continue on. He's not going to let this stop him. He's not going to let this affect him, but he will learn from it. He took a loss better than arguably any fighter. And he got utterly humiliated in that bout. It wasn't that he just lost. He got beat up, schooled, and humiliated. Every single fighter should take inspiration from what Dominick Cruz did here, except maybe lose the shades, maybe you should sit down. Like, you just got beat up for 25 minutes. You're not sick for standing up, Dominick Cruz, but this was, I don't mean to dog on him. Like, this really is a Dominick Cruz appreciation video. It's so crazy that after this, Ronda Rousey pulled the crap that she did, just disappearing. You know? And now we're still hearing excuses to this day for Ronda Rousey. Unbelievable, dude. Dominick Cruz showing Ronda Rousey how it's done. Now, after that, Dominick Cruz got into commentary. He ended up making his commentary debut in between his fight after this and his loss against Cody Garbrandt. And I gotta say, I don't get the hate behind Dominick Cruz's commentary. I think he brings a very knowledgeable base to the game. I enjoy hearing his commentary. I enjoy hearing him break things down. A lot of people are really stuck on the time where he did say that Conor was trying to gas Khabib out by getting smashed. Everybody has their moments. Everybody's stuck on that moment. But man, like, I legitimately love the way he breaks things down. I love his commentary. He has some slip-ups here and there, but everybody does. Who cares? I think Dominick Cruz is an excellent commentator, and I'm glad that this is the line of work that he ended up getting into. Now, something that I did want to mention too with the commentary is his commentary with Michael Bisping. I don't get what people don't like about both of these guys. You know what? Sorry. I understand people being frustrated with Michael Bisping's commentary. He jokes around a little too much, and there are commentators that just do the job better. But Bisping is very funny. He's lighthearted. I enjoy the jokes that he makes, okay? I understand that's not for everybody. I don't think you should hate on Dominick Cruz. You know, there's been a few times that people really like cling to it. Like something that I don't like that Dominick Cruz does is, way to go on that. Way to go, ref. Good on that ref for letting him fight through his battles, you know, like giving him the opportunity to come back and survive, you know, because Dominick Cruz is a very, I don't know what you call it, like he holds on to that loss. He has a chip on his shoulder, maybe, or no, he's petty. He's petty, I will say, okay? But these two together, these two nipping at each other, these two joking with each other, have made for some really, really lighthearted and funny moments. I love when these two go together. I love when these two are like buddy. I love when they joke together. I love when they ride each other. Like, they make for a really, really good team together. And I would like to see them share the commentary booth more often than we do see them. Let's continue on over to the next post that I wanted to see throughout Dominick Cruz's career over here. And that was the unfortunate UFC 249 loss against Triple C Henry Cejudo. Now, Henry Cejudo is one of my favorite fighters. I was hoping that Henry Cejudo would get the job done. This was sad to see Dominick Cruz lose the way that he did, but unfortunately, I don't have much to say about that. Again, it was a fun fight. It was a really fun build-up. Enjoyed the trash talk, enjoyed the cringe, enjoyed Dominick Cruz. It was just a whole fun experience to be a part of. After that, we have the birth of the alcohol and cigarettes meme. The meme that was so good, it stood the test of time over here. And if you're watching this video down the road, I am recording this video on February 17th, 2025. The alcohol and cigarettes meme is still alive. Keith Peterson smelled like alcohol and cigarettes. And it was the birth of the one thing that Dominick Cruz held on to throughout his entire commentary. Like, I get that people find it annoying, but I personally find it funny. You good on that ref for letting that guy fight through his opportunity. Like, giving that opportunity to fight back, you know? I thought it was great. This ended up being one of the best memes in the entirety of MMA. We got to make an MMA meme tier list sometime, dude. But Dominick Cruz losing that fight to Henry Cejudo ended up giving light to something that we didn't even know what happened. Now, there are two other fights that I did want to mention from Dominick Cruz, because after that, he got two really nice wins. One at UFC 259, and the next one, not at UFC 259. I forgot to edit the text over there. My apologies, everybody, but he broke my heart in destroying Pedro Munoz. Well, he didn't destroy Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz is one of my favorite fighters of all time, one of the most underappreciated fighters in the history of the sport. Dominick Cruz comes back and has to, like, do what Dominick Cruz does on him, but it was a very fun fight. And you know what? As much as I was cheering for guys like Henry Cejudo, as much as I was cheering for some of these guys against Dominick Cruz, like I said, I've enjoyed Dominick Cruz over the years, but he's not nearly my favorite fighter, so there are times where I was cheering against Dominick Cruz. He has always made for a really fun experience. I've always enjoyed his movement. I've always enjoyed how elusive he was. Him in the octagon was great. His post-fight speeches were great. Him winning was always very wholesome. So it was cool to see, even though I was really hoping that Pedro Munoz would get the win over here. I enjoyed seeing Dominick Cruz get the W because he is actually a very, very wholesome winner. Unfortunately, after that, and this is where Dominick Cruz's career has come to an end, was the UFC on ESPN loss, where he was having a phenomenal performance, and then Chito Vera ended up head kicking him, and it was sad to see. Hated watching Dominick Cruz go out like that. I would have liked to see him go out on a win, but from the experience all the way from the start, when I first watched his second fight with Uriah Faber, I absolutely loved being a part of the career, or the viewing experience of the career of Dominick Cruz. Dominick Cruz does a great job on commentary. Dominick Cruz was a great fighter. He's been part of some great scraps. He has been one of the fighters that has made me laugh the most out of any other fighter. I enjoy whenever Dominick Cruz is on the camera. And Dominick Cruz, I believe my channel will be one of the biggest MMA channels in the future. So if the time comes wherever you watch this video, I didn't always cheer for you to win. I didn't always really like, you went against a lot of my favorite fighters, let's be fair. But you created some amazing memories, some amazing experiences as a fan. I have sat down and watched press conferences with friends where you were making the entire room laugh. We've been watching pay-per-views together, my family and I. My mom and I have spent a lot of time cheering for Dominick Cruz as well. Like I said, like there were times with Henry Cejudo I was cheering against him. There were times with Pedro Munoz I was cheering against him, Uriah Faber. My mom and I sat down a lot of times and was really, really cheering for Dominick Cruz in a lot of these fights as well, and smiled when he ended up getting the victory. So Dominick Cruz, unfortunately, while you are going on a loss, thank you very, very much for the experience. It was an honor to follow your career. Enjoy retirement. I cannot wait to see him again on the commentary booth. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. Let me know what you thought about it down below. Comment something that you enjoyed seeing about Dominick Cruz, and check out this video on screen. YouTube thinks that you would like it the best. Take care, everybody. Thank you again for being here.